Well, hello everybody. So we're up into 1986 now. So what caught my eye that year? In Uganda, Yoweri Museveni took over Uganda after a 5-year civil war. It is believed that during this war, something like 500,000 people died. Space Shuttle Challenger was destroyed 73 seconds after liftoff. The first computer virus, called Brain, began to spread. So if you had a PC in 1986, I don't know how you'd get it, because there's no internet. Well, there was an internet, but dial-up, I think it was. Yeah. Pixar, the CGI studio, was founded that year. Voyager 2 reached Uranus that year. Halley's Comet reached perihelion that year. That's the closest point to the Earth. And so the last time it reached Earth was 1910, 76-year cycle, so 1986 it arrived. And it was big news. At least 3 different countries around the world sent probes to take a good look at it. Exciting times. So the next time that Halley's Comet will come round to Earth will be 2062. I doubt I'll be around to see it, but if I'm very lucky, maybe. Will you be around to see it, do you think? Do you hope to be around to see it? The first film from Studio Ghibli was released that year. Yeah, it's a regional 3 disc, and it has no English dub in it. It's entirely Japanese language or Chinese language, I think it says here. Yeah, Japanese language and Cantonese. Subtitles available in English and Chinese. So this is like the Far Eastern release. If you haven't seen this Ghibli movie, maybe you should give it a try. Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, was released that year. One of my favourite Star Trek films. That's the one where the town travelled back to Earth in the mid-1980s, stole a couple of whales to repopulate them in the future, and thus saving the planet because, yeah, you've seen the movie, you know what it's all about. I haven't mentioned Star Trek at all in this series. Star Trek was my gateway into popular science fiction, as we know today. And Star Trek on television, watched all the TV series, the original series, used to be on BBC Two. And then the Next Generation came along. That was also shown on BBC Two. In between those two, in the early to mid 1980s and so on, the original cast movies came out, which seem to alternate between mediocre and good. So the first film, poor; second film, good; third film, fourth film, good, and so on. The Beatles records were officially available to buy in Russia in 1986. I assume that before then, if you wanted to listen to a Beatles record in Russia, you had to get a bootleg version or get a copy illegally somehow. Nice to see the Russians, embracing some Western values. Amongst those who died that year were L. Ron Hubbard, Ray Milland, James Cagney, Elio De Angelis, the Formula 1 racing driver, Desi Arnaz, husband of Lucille Ball, musician, entertainer, and so on. Again, very familiar with him. Used to watch the Lucy show in Uganda all the time. Cary Grant passed away that year as well. He's my favourite picture of Cary Grant, which I found on Tumblr. And Pat Phoenix, who starred for years, decades in fact, in Coronation Street as Elsie Tanner. Amongst the people born that year, these birth-death lists, as more people that I'm aware of start dying, the death list may grow longer, and I'm assuming the birth list will grow shorter because fewer people will have been old enough to be anything. Anyway, you get the idea. Born that year. Jamie Bell. Lady Gaga was born that year. Yes. I thought she was older too, but... Megan Fox, the lady who starred in the first 2 or 3 Transformers films. It's a curious character she played in those films, because she played a girl who was very good at automotive engineering. She could fix cars. But because she was very pretty and acted like a very pretty girl, she came across as somebody who wasn't good at, anything except being pretty. I guess it's the way she was written, really, as opposed to the way she was performed. But then she performed it the way she was directed. Anyway, I'm getting silly now. Who else was born that year? Cassie J, filmmaker, documentary filmmaker, and occasional actor, I believe. Usain Bolt, Olympic sprint champion for the past few Olympics. Shia LaBeouf, who starred alongside Megan Fox in the Transformers movies. Robert Pattinson, he's the actor who co-starred in one of the Harry Potter films. He was also in that vampire film thing, what's it called? Twilight. Yeah. Mary-Kate Olsen and Ashley Olsen. Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen were born that year. It's interesting. I saw this picture on one of the sites I'm looking for, and they just got a picture of Mary-Kate, as if the other twin didn't appear until sometime later. That seemed odd to me. Kit Harington, who you may have seen in the Game of Thrones series, and Emilia Clarke, who starred alongside him in the Game of Thrones series. Mother of Dragons, Emilia Clarke was born that year as well. Ruby Rose, born that year. Ruby Rose has been in the news lately for all the wrong reasons. Roman Grosjean was born that year. He's a Formula 1 driver. Very good at crashing in the first couple of seasons. Took a break from Formula 1, came back, doing very well. Paul di Resta, also a Formula 1 driver. Well, was a Formula 1 driver, racing car driver. Currently doing some commentating on the Sky F1 channel. Lindsay Lohan was born that year as well. So those are the few people of interest to me anyway that were born that year. I might start a little thing about some of the records I bought that year, because music is something that I am very much into, but then who isn't? So I just grabbed some of the records I bought that year. Queen, It's a Kind of Magic. Very adventurous cover. Prince and the Revolution, Parade. Bonnie Tyler, Sacred Dreams and Forbidden Fire. I cannot, for the life of me, tell you any of the tracks that are on this album, because I haven't heard it since probably the time I bought it. Holding Out for a Hero's on here though, so I think we all know that tune. All the others are, yeah. There's a 12-inch single, Point of No Return by New Shoes. It's not as good as the other single by them that I have had. The single is called I Can't Wait, which I thought was a really great tune. And this one was more of a in-between record, as it were. Filler, Madonna. I wasn't that big a fan of Madonna, but I did buy a lot of her singles on the occasional album, True Blue. 12-inch single, Mountains by Prince, extended version. I did like the record, which is why I bought the single, which is why I bought the extended single. And it's a pretty good dance thing. The B-side, Alexa de Paris, makes for a really good instrumental. I really like that. I'd like to play that B-side as a background, because it's almost like Muzak, but really good Muzak, if there is such a thing. But it's Prince, and I know that I don't know how if things have changed since his passing, but it was almost impossible to see any Prince music on YouTube or anywhere on the internet that wasn't official Prince material. So seems as soon as you put it on, copyright strike, gone. Anyway, Paul McCartney, Press. I couldn't tell you what this record sounds like either. It's a single. Title tracks are Press. Other tracks are It's Not True and Press, the video edit. It's a 10-inch single, so bigger than a 7-inch, smaller than a 12-inch. Which I thought was exactly the right size for something. When bands release EPs as opposed to an album, I think they should all be on 10-inch records. What do I know? I'm just somebody who buys this stuff. Walk Like an Egyptian by the Bangles, the 12-inch mix. Meat Loaf and Drum Power, picture disc, shaped picture disc. It's stuck. Oh, I know why it's stuck. Damn, this top bit broke. I stuck it together with tape, with sellotape. Not a good idea, but what else could you do? Happily, the bit that plays is safe, so. But again, I don't know what this song sounds like. Damn, I should listen to these things, David Lee Roth, Yankee Rose. I do remember the intro to this one, almost like a little conversation David Lee has with the guitar. So, and I was quite impressed that you could make a guitar sound like words.
What? Well, let me roll up onto the sidewalk and take a look. Yes. Whoa!
Again, shaped picture disc. That's on either side. David and his band. By now he'd split from Van Halen. Yeah, he did a gig in Bradford on a tour sometime that time. Quite interesting because after the gig I had my camera and everything, hoping to get a picture of David as I left the venue, the St George's Hall in Bradford. And I was hanging around with the tour bus, and there's a couple of band members, including the drummer, having a decent conversation. And while we're doing this, some people walked past who had just come from the pub. And I think it was 4 people, 2 couples, men and women, and one of the men was like pissed up drunk, totally drunk, and it was making fun of David Lee Roth to the band members there. So David Lee Roth, he left Van Halen, he's not doing very well. And the drummer just got pissed off and told him, "Oh, fuck you, man, get out of here." And his man's wife or girlfriend said, let's just go, man. And eventually, nothing exciting happened, they just left. And then a little while later, David Lee Roth came out of the venue, not on his own, and he was basically just marched out of the door and straight into the tour bus by a manager or somebody with dark glasses on, even though it's like midnight by now. And he looked out of it. He did not look a big smile on his face, the kind of smile you get from somebody who's like off his head on something. I'm not suggesting that he was taking his substances, but he didn't look right, and he was taken away so quickly there wasn't time to actually get the camera out and take some pictures. Well, not for me, because I wasn't ready with the camera. I was hoping to stop him, take a snap. But big famous people don't work that way. Genesis, what's this one? A blue 12-inch single. In Too Deep. Yeah, I think I'm going to end it there. 1986. I reached 18 that year. Started going out to pubs and clubs with the hope that I'd meet some young ladies. But maybe I'll talk about that later.